Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor and you're watching Coffee and Crypto, a show in which we make crypto blockchain very easy for you to understand. We discuss fun ideas and we talk about what exactly the future is going to entail. Alright, turning towards what we've got for you on the program today. When we were researching for this particular episode of CC, we thought, oh my God, look at the journey we've had so far. Through the course of the show, we discussed several coins, several types of blockchain technologies, how it is being adapted, how people's crypto ideas have given them some great results. But then we got thinking, what if one of you has an idea for a new type of crypto? Of course, anyone can float a coin or a blockchain application if you didn't know that already. For example, Bitcoin, as we know, was created by this mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that person or a group of people really is. Nobody knows till date. In fact, when I checked last, just a few moments ago, 24 new crypto coins have been added just in the last 12 hours. But of course, there are lots of them who get into the market, but not everybody is Nakamoto, right? And with the world going crypto crazy now, it could require a lot of capital as well to actually set up a new cryptocurrency. So, could there be a way for you to get that capital? I'll let you know on the program today once we go to the coffee wall. Alright, so now if you are not living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard of people talking about IPOs, initial public offerings that happen. Zomato's blockbuster IPO generated a huge buzz earlier this year. Oyo filed for an IPO worth over 8,000 crore rupees, and now LIC is likely to file papers for the largest initial public offering in India's history. Basically, IPOs are a way for companies to raise capital through public, right? Now, they are open up, and as they open up their shares on a stock exchange, and anyone can then invest in those shares and become stakeholders of sorts. Now, in the crypto world, they have their own version of the IPO, and it's called the ICO, or the Initial Coin Offering. A company wanting to raise money to create a new coin app, service or technology can launch an initial coin offering as a way to raise funds. In simple words, this is how it works. All right, let's look at that, some key steps there. Imagine you're the head of a startup and you have an idea of a new crypto system. Say, it could be about, you have an idea for parents to actually streamline and pay school fee through an encrypted digital system using the blockchain technology. But how will you launch that crypto? You will need money, right? Enter the ICOs. First, you will have to make a document explaining that what exactly is your idea and how it will actually implement it. Remember what this document is called? If you saw the previous program, you will know it's called the white paper. Then you ask people to send you money, either crypto like Bitcoin or even regular currency, and in return you send them tokens of this new coin that you have created. Now you launch and market your new coin, and who knows, your coin may get really popular. Now this of course increases the value of the tokens, and you have given to your investor as well, and then that's the reason why it becomes a win-win. By the way, do you know that which well-known coin was born out of an ICO? It was actually Ethereum. One Ether, when it actually got listed on the crypto exchanges in 2015, closed at about 67 rupees that year, and today it is worth over 2.5 lakh rupees. And so whoever invested in its ICO is a very, very happy man or woman today. However, since I gave you an example of IPOs, let me also tell you a major difference between the IPOs and ICOs is something that you must keep in mind of how things change in the crypto world. One, that as an investor, it's important to note that unlike in the initial public offerings or the IPOs, investing in an ICO does not give you a share or stake in the company. You're giving money, essentially you're putting money and hoping that the coin you have invested in becomes popular, increasing the value of the token you will get when you actually invest in. Second difference, IPOs are of course regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India. They have to abide by certain rules and conditions to be listed, and even once funds start flowing in, the company gets a lot of money. Monitoring agencies are there to check how the money is actually being spent, whereas ICOs, of course, like we know, are not really regulated. This leaves the investor a little vulnerable. There are scams, there are frauds that we hear about. So while it could certainly mean that you get a lot of money, it could also go really wrong, which then brings me the most important part of the explainer. What you should keep in mind if you decide to invest in an ICO. Like every other investment, do your homework, but this time be doubly cautious. Read the white paper. Ensure that the project developers have clearly defined their idea and their plan to go about it. Vaguely written papers, impractical approaches could really be spelling out trouble for you. It's better if you actually know the team behind the project and can vouch for their authenticity, even if you don't just research about their backgrounds and try to ensure they are credible people with a solid footprint in the crypto industry as well. And third, check, double check and triple check for legal terms and conditions set by or for that ICO. Since it's largely unregulated, the ball is always in your court. Number 4 thing to remember, ensure that the ICO funds are being sorted in an sort of wallet of sorts, an escrow wallet of sorts. These require multiple keys to be accessed and could hence be much, much safer. All right, having understood that, and apologies for my nasal voice, I seem to have got a really bad flu, so lots of coffee for me on the program. And also joining us on the program are two gentlemen who know this pretty well. We've got Praveen Kumar, founder and CEO for Belfrix, joining us on the show. Belfrix is one of the fastest growing Bitcoin exchanges in the country. They actually did come into place. And they did, apart from being an exchange, they also floated their own ICO. So we'll try and understand from them what their experience was like. Also joining us on the program is the co-founder and COO, of Polygon, an India-based crypto coin. There's so much buzz about this one. And Sandeep Nailwal is with us. Hi, Sandeep. Welcome to CC. Let me take the first question to Praveen though. Praveen, you've done lots of stuff. We were talking before the program started as well that you've sort of branched out into various places. But give us your experience of the ICO. How much money did actually end up picking from the market?
Thanks, Anu. Thanks for having me in the show. We started off in 2015 with an exchange business from Malaysia, then India, Kenya, and Nigeria, and all these places. We spread it out. In the due process, we identified that one of the major issues for adoption of these cryptocurrencies are identity, money laundering, and anonymity, right? So we tried to tackle that particular issue. So we floated this idea of coming up with a KYC compliant blockchain. So in 2017, we launched this blockchain from Singapore, and we raised the capital only within our exchange customers. At that point in time, we raised around $2.2 million. 2017 we raised, 2018 we went live, and as of now this is the 4th year that we are currently live with the platform, and we currently onboard many both national and state level government agencies, and many other programs are being run on this.
Right. In fact, Praveen is being very humble right now. He actually works with several agencies and several governments as well, Karnataka government, Andhra Pradesh government, and he's helping them solve lots of education related issues, health as well. That's something we'll talk about later on the program as well. But let me bring in Sandeep in this conversation. Sandeep, Polygon obviously started out with a very different approach. Tell us, how's the journey been so far? And so much going around. What's your reading of how the crypto scene is going in India?
So Polygon, compared to, first of all, like I will say that Polygon cannot be categorized as a crypto. It's basically a platform where you can build your applications, and that platform, just like Ethereum, right? And then Ethereum, you use Ethereum to kind of interact with this platform or manage this platform, run this platform, right? So So the utility or the token utility is not exactly like a cryptocurrency per se.
Right.
It's not a currency, it's a platform to run applications. And yeah, I mean, we, as you said that, we started with a very different approach. We did not do an ICO, even though doing an ICO was very lucrative and, raising large sums of money and all that.
Why?
We did an IO. Sorry?
Tell me, why did you choose not to do an ICO and what exactly was the plan?
Because largely I would I don't fully agree with the, for example, the things that we discussed about ICO. For an average retail investor, you should stay away from ICOs as much as possible, especially when they are happening independently by the ICO team. Don't participate in an independent ICO which is happening on a website of the party. That's where most scam happen. If you are participating in an IEO, that too of a standard exchange, globally top exchange, they make sure that they have done some level of due diligence on the team, on how their token is, the token utility on that, then you can participate in that.
All right, some very good tips there coming in from Sandeep. Thanks for that. Let me go back to Praveen and talk a little bit more about what exactly is happening with Belfrix as well. Praveen, just give us an insight into, so when you say floated your ICO, what was your white paper about? What did you tell people that you were doing? I believe by then you didn't have governments as your clients to actually put some weight behind your token.
In fact, we approached many governments and even banks at that point in time, to sell our product solutions and all, and we were literally kicked off from there. So one of the major reasons was that, they, again, the identity part, so the anonymity part. So since it is anonymous in nature, so they were not accepting us. So we decided that, we need to tackle this particular issue of, identifying the end layer. So now, as Sandeep mentioned that, when you're investing in ICOs, when an exchange comes into picture, they vet that particular ICO entity, right? So you have an added advantage of someone else doing your work, similar to how an IPO is being vetted here. Also, the exchange does that particular work. But over and above that, even the exchange also has a heightened risk of, money laundering. So because, people can move in money, I'm talking about in the form of crypto from overseas to India and India to overseas. So that heightened risk is there, right? So that need to be taken care of. So one of the primary focus for us is to, provide a solution to the government wherein a layer can be formed below the exchanges to identify who is investing, where the money is going, where it is coming up. So that's one of our primary motto of coming into this particular.
Right, it is, and you're doing such important work. So both of you, congratulations firstly. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have on this segment, but we'll connect again. There's so much to talk about what you two gentlemen are doing in your individual space. We're going to slip into a very short break. But what's coming up on the other side? What happened when cricket met crypto? All right, it is IPL season. There is so much talk about the World Cup happening next as well. Is there now a new cricket token that you should get your eyes on? Coming up in a short while from now. Welcome back. You're watching CC, and this segment, we are very excited about it because it's got to do with cricket. Now, the IPL season is going on, T20 World Cup just around the corner, and in all, we are just a cricket crazy nation, right? We're all cricket buffs. So do you know that there is a platform where cricket meets crypto? So imagine this, autographs of your favorite cricketer. About 50 plus unique moments from the cricket history. Exclusive BTS of not just Indian but international players as well. All this at a click of your button. You can bid for it, you can go for it as well. This is the world's first crypto platform exclusive to cricket, along with several NFT as well. There's an entire marketplace for it. And all this, that's the icing on the cake here, built by people who love the sport like no other. It's the Cricket Foundation, built by the cricketing community themselves, and the token is now listed in various Indian crypto exchanges already. It's called Crick. That's the name of the token, by the way. And joining us today on CC to talk about that is Parthiv Patel. No introductions needed for this man here. And also Prithvi Rao, who's the man, the brain behind it all. Let me quickly get started with Parthiv first. Welcome to CC, Parthiv. When I heard about this token and, we were researching about this for the program, we saw lots of stuff that fans would be dying to really go for. But give us a perspective on cricketers. What does this platform give you?
I think, it's a very exciting thing for all of us here. I think it's a great way to connect to our fans. If I can take back to '83 World Cup final where everyone saw how Jimmy Amarnath got last wicket and he ran and took a bail. He didn't take a stump, he just took a bails off, and that's in his pocket. And just imagine him, putting that picture on the cricket platform. So everyone can own that. It's an iconic moment that actually changed the World Cup. You've seen so many times MS Dhoni, taking that stump off, and no one knows where the stump is. It's there in his in his house, but it's only for him to see. But if he can actually authenticate that and put it on a platform, so it's unbelievable. So it's like, if you can see that helmet which is there right behind me, it's a Mumbai Indians helmet which we won in 2017, and it is signed of every player. It's there with me, but if I can just put it, everyone can own it. It's about owning the thing. We can have autographs, we can have a lot of things, but that owning the thing is something which brings to this platform.
Parthiv, we can only get a glimpse of it. Can you hold it up for us to see it up close?
Yeah, I can see that. That's the thing. It has the autographs of Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma, and everyone.
Right. So I think what effectively this platform does is that you don't just get a glimpse of it, you actually get to own it. And that's the beauty, right? Let me go to Mr. Rao at this point. Mr. Rao, when it comes to owning these rare moments, even to NFT, even to signatured bats, etc., this entire thing of, zero fakes, I think that's what the blockchain really does to this. Talk to us a little bit about that. How are you ensuring that the system remains clean?
Yeah, so what is important is the fact that we can suddenly own media. People always collected art. People have for millennia collected art, but ever since digital photographs came about, there was no way to collect them. Okay, and I keep giving this example. When I send you a video on WhatsApp, what I actually send you is a copy of that video. The actual video is still on my phone, right? So till now, there was no way of transferring the video to you by ensuring that it is not with me anymore, and blockchain helps do that. So there is only one video and it can get transferred between people, and blockchain helps do that. Okay. So what it helps is it kind of tracks the entire provenance of who created it, where it came from, who owned it, and so on and so forth. And that's what makes it fundamentally trustable as a point of truth, so to say. So therefore, someone can very confidently buy it and trade it. And that's the important piece.
Buy, trade it, and there's something in it for the cricketers as well, isn't there, Parthiv? We all know that cricketers and all sportsmen, for example, have a smaller sort of shelf life in which they really get to make a lot of money and they are at the peak of their career. So this is a great source of revenue as well.
Absolutely. I think, you put the nail on the head by saying that we have a very short span of, career. There are a lot of businessmen or, in any other field, you would actually start getting mature at 35, 37, but that's about the age where, we actually get retired. But, what do we do with, about this, say, memorabilia and all of that? We can actually share that and monetize it as well. And with that, it stays within our possession as well. But, it's something very important for a sportsman to, this is not about just earning money. It's obviously earning money for a lot of people, but for us to share what we've achieved and what we've gone through, those pictures and all of that. I think it's a great platform for all of us, and especially evolving with the time is another thing. And I think it's about time that we start giving this to society, giving this to fans, where they can actually share our happiness with them.
Right, Mr. Rao, I remember, I come from Kanpur and the Green Park Stadium there would host these crazy matches, and I remember being this kid standing next to the line there waiting, hoping to get that one autograph of my favorite cricketer.
Yeah.
Of course, those days are gone now. That's still going to happen, but this is such a beautiful way of staying connected, of owning a piece of history, really.
That's correct. And what's wonderful about it, Sonal, is the fact that you don't have to wait in the line anymore. It's the age of Twitter and Instagram, right? So you can be sitting in Argentina, you can be sitting in US, wherever in the world, and you can still have a piece of that history. And that's what makes it so beautiful. So we are all living in the virtual world now, and this is a way of owning a piece of that virtual world that cricket is all about.
That craziness as well. So this is part of that. So good luck, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on CC as well. We'll keep a close tap on how exactly a crick is also faring.
Thanks, Sonal, for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. So we talked so much about what exactly are these new coins that are coming out in the system, how to float your own new coin. Also, we talked about how to actually keep a tap on these new cricketing tokens that are out. Apart from this, there is really so much to be explored in this space. So if you have something on your mind, be sure to write into us and we'll pick it up on the program. Until next week, bye-bye.